Saturday, that'll be dropping at midnight on Saturday. So stay tuned for that. Hit the subscribe, like on wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as well. Stay tuned for that. And with that, let's move over to the national title that's going to be played on Monday at SoFi Stadium, which they are not allowing tailgating. Can you believe that?
There's probably no parking lot.
Yeah,
Probably no parking.
Yeah, no.
Stupid.
It is stupid.
And also why we should be playing a national if a national championship game is in LA, it needs to be in Pasadena at the Rose Bowl.
Not just LA, California.
California, yes.
Yeah.
But at 5 this one's at 5:30 Mountain Time on ESPN. Georgia right now is a 12.5-point favorite in this game. I think if you're Georgia and you're looking at this, the secondary has been a disaster their last two games against LSU and against Ohio State. They've got to figure that out. They've got to find a way to keep Quentin Johnson in check. I think you almost bracket him, and you have somebody pointing him out at all times where he is on the field because he's going to be a top 10 pick in this year's draft. The other part too with TCU is Kendre Miller right now. It says he's questionable. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to play. I think if he's able to play, that's where you'll really see TCU's offense take off because with his running game, him and Max Duggan, they're both very effective, and that's really where when they've got the run game going, and it opens up the play action and the passing game so much more, which they want to do. And I think if you're Max Duggan, and if you're TCU, the big thing is similar to what they did against Michigan. Win on first and second down on offense. Stay ahead of the chains. Make it third and manageable. And don't let that pass rush for Georgia where they can just tee off go where it's obvious passing situations. And I think with a strong run game, they're going to be able to do that. And the other part is they have to execute on third down. I think they have to convert at a 50% clip to have a shot to win this. And if you're Max Duggan, you've got to have the game of your life. You have to go Vince Young in 2006, Deshaun Watson in 2016, second half Tua Tagovailoa. You have to have that. You have to have a Vince Young type of moment, or in a sense, a Heisman moment to beat a team like Georgia.
Well, and also, like you said, Georgia's secondary has been suspect to say the least in these last couple of games. Well, if Jalen Carter and the rest of that front four can't get after Max and this TCU offensive line, with Sonny Dykes being a disciple of Mike Leach and this air raid offense, they're going to find holes in this defense. They're going to find a matchup they like. They're going to take advantage of it. It could be a long day at the office for Georgia. So then in return, Georgia knows that, and what's Kirby going to try to do? Probably try to do something Michigan didn't do and own the line of scrimmage and try to really slow this 3-3-5 defense down. So I'll be intrigued to see on a short week or, a limited time to prepare, how does Georgia get ready for this front that they haven't seen all year? How much, live practices are they doing where they got guys slanting and offensive linemen need to talk and react? Or are they just going to learn on the fly? That'll be something interesting to see if Georgia if they can establish the running game early in this game because they figured out this 3-3-5 defense in this front. And if they can't, TCU is going to hang around in this game. But also for TCU, you can't have your quarterback go 9 of 23 at one point in this title game like he was against Michigan. If you're 9 and 23 against Georgia, it's going to be 27-0.
Yeah, I think another thing too, if you're Georgia, I think it's very important your D line is able to get pressure without blitzing and drop those linebackers back into coverage and really close off those throwing lanes and make it difficult where Duggan, doesn't have time or he's staying in the pocket where he's not able to scramble and receivers aren't able to move around based off what he's doing.
And then when you get to him, you have to get him on the ground, unlike what Michigan wasn't able to do.
Yep.
Where he was just running around, doing whatever, making plays with his legs. So then receivers, they abandon their normal route and they just try to get open because their quarterback was running for his life. And they made a lot of good plays with that. So, Georgia did the same thing against Ohio State. They got the initial pressure, but couldn't contain Stroud. And Ohio State got big plays off that. So Max will do the same thing.
I'm going right where Grant went with talking about the run game. They need better balance. I mean, 400, just under 400 passing yards to 130 rush yards. Like, that's not going to cut it versus TCU. One, I don't think they're going to pass for 400 yards anyway.
No.
But you're going to have to run the ball. Like, they averaged 5 yards a carry versus Ohio State. That's great and all, but it didn't honestly really feel like that.
No.
It seemed like anytime they had to get yards, it was a pass play. So that's going to have to change. But for TCU, it's honestly the same thing. Keep the running game going a little bit, mix it up the pass, get Quentin Johnson around the field, get him in those mismatches is really kind of hide him. I guess they did that versus Michigan really well.
Well, and then, Kayla Ringo, he tried to go 1v1 with Marvin Harrison Jr., and he struggled.
Well. Yeah.
It did not go well. And, Quentin Johnson, he's not Marvin Harrison Jr., but he's a damn good receiver. And if Kaylee's having a bad day, this TCU, Georgia then Dylan, like you said, might have to bracket Quentin Johnson. But if that's the case, this Sonny Dykes offense with Lincoln Riley's brother calling the shots, they're going to find that one-on-one matchup and they're going to expose them. With this air raid, it's just, can TCU keep Max upright?
Yeah, well, and back to your point, Ethan, the 400 pass yards, that's also due in fact because Georgia got behind by 2 scores late in the fourth quarter where they had to throw. I think Georgia needs to play this. Georgia can't do what Michigan did where the game was played on TCU terms. I think right away, Georgia kick a field goal. If you go down that first drive, you don't get in the end zone, take the points. It gets something. It's better than nothing. And then, what Michigan had to do is they were chasing TCU the rest of the day. And that's not a good recipe.
Well, and guys, Georgia wants 450 yards of offense. Who doesn't? But they want 200 of that on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say 300.
Yeah, but like in all seriousness, if they have the kind of game that they want to have 250 on the ground, and they want to have Stenson throw for, 200 to 225.
Yep. And part of it, so I don't know if I'm ready to pick TCU to win yet, but they've everybody has written them off at every step of the way. In the regular season, Kansas State, Oklahoma, Texas, they were going to lose all of those games, and yet they've found ways to win. Part of me says this feels like a St. Peter's versus North Carolina run where it was like, okay, you guys have been a nice story. We're Georgia, we're the big boys. We're gonna show you how it's done, type of thing. But the other part of it is, on the flip side, is it is very hard to repeat as champions. The last team to do it was Alabama in 2011 and 2012. That's the other part of me where it's like I'm trying to find a balance in between it.
Yep.
So I think Georgia wins, but I think TCU covers the 12.5. I
think that's fair.
And
I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. I bet on anything too, I think the safest bet might be TCU in the first half. I don't know what the line is, but that seems like probably the best bet because I think they will come out with their hair on fire, ready to play.
Yeah, I'm with you, but also I think for Georgia's sake, that game they had against Ohio State was exactly what Kirby Smart wanted.
Yep.
For them to come around,
that's the other part too.
they think they're better. They're better than everyone else. We're going to come in. The game's in our backyard. We're going to beat the hell out of these guys. Whoa. Nope. They came out. They're ready to play. They're taking it to us. We needed to look ourselves in the mirror, recompose, and come out and finish this game. Now that might be a thing where TCU should be worried about because Georgia is locked in. And when Georgia has needed to be locked in this year, no one's getting within 3 touchdowns of them.
Yeah, and now I'm thinking maybe I might pick Georgia to cover the 12.5. It's also because TCU played an incredible game against Michigan. Georgia, by their standards, they did not. And you see that happen a lot of times where a team in the semis plays the game of their life. They play one of their best games, dominating fashion, and then the next game I don't know if they rest on their laurels. It's just not there. And then the team that didn't play the best, they're thankful to make it in. They go and they just blow the doors off in the championship game. We've seen that 1,000 times with NDSU, where they've had battles in the semis, and then the championship games are just blowouts.
And that's kind of where I'm at, because I think, like I said, George is locked in. Then also, they already have somewhat of a game plan against this TCU offense. They play Tennessee in early November.
Yep.
It's that same offense there, and I think they'll be able to lean back and really watch that film and see what worked and what didn't work. And then they'll be able to implement that on Monday night this week. And then also I think Stenson's going to sit back and realize, I was pretty much out of character in that Ohio State game. I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to be calm. I'm going to be who I have been all year. And we're going to go out and we're going to win this game.
Yeah, so I guess we're going to see what's going to happen Monday night.
Can't
and
wait.
You'll have to come back on Wednesday or Thursday to find out what we think, what we saw. We'll digest it all. But let's put a bow on this show, and let's wrap this up with Curveball of the Week. And I have Curveball of the Week this week. So, fellas, it is New Year's. It is the new year. It is 2023. And